My first love, whom I was engaged to since childhood, swore she wouldn't marry anyone but that delinquent. At our engagement party, she made a scene, tearfully telling all the guests that true love is priceless. I let her go, agreeing to cancel the engagement, and chose to go abroad to take over the family business. She didn't know that being engaged to me was the only way she could continue living as a rich girl. Without the engagement, she was nothing. 3 years later, as I returned to expand my family's business in the country, she barged into my office, pregnant and clinging to me, crying, "Evan, I regret it. Can you take me away? Is this Evelyn?" Looking at the pregnant, disheveled woman in front of me, I almost didn't recognize her. Her face was gaunt, body bloated, hair yellowed, and skin rough. She should only be 25, but she looked like a woman in her 40s. Was this still the spoiled little princess? What happened to her? Evelyn burst into my office, evading the guards who couldn't stop her. Seeing me, she beamed with joy. Evan, it's me, Evelyn." She reached to grab my hand, and I subtly took a step back. "Evelyn, what do you want?" "Evan, I knew you'd come back. I've been waiting for you," she said, throwing herself at me. I frowned and pushed her away. "If you have something to say it. If not, leave. Don't get so close." Evelyn widened her eyes. "Evan, how can you talk to me like this? You weren't like this before." I remained expressionless. "That was before. Ms. Evelyn, you have a family now. Watch yourself." "Ah, you're still jealous." Evelyn suddenly smiled. "Evan, you're still mad about me breaking off our engagement, aren't you? You came back because you missed me, right? Don't be shy, I'll give you a chance." I felt the vein in my forehead pulse. What nonsense was she spouting? It's been 3 years since we called off the engagement. My return this time was to handle family business. What did it have to do with her? "Ms. Evelyn, you're mistaken. I have things to attend to. Please leave," I said coldly, showing her the door. I couldn't let security escort her out. Her belly seemed too far along, possibly 8 or 9 months. If anything happened, it might mess up my new business here. Unexpectedly, Evelyn fell to her knees, bawling her eyes out. She cried and clutched my trousers. "Evan, I regret it. Can you take me away?" My brows furrowed so tight they could trap a fly. My girlfriend had just ironed these pants this morning. Evelyn and I were childhood friends turned lovers, arranged by our families because of business ties. From elementary school through high school, we were always in the same class. Everyone thought we were meant to be. Because of that, Evelyn had a strange possessiveness over me. She never let any other girl near me, even forbidding them from sitting next to me, asking for help with schoolwork or sending letters. Thanks to Evelyn, my chances of hanging out with the opposite sex were nearly zero growing up. Evelyn was like a proud peacock, her head held high wherever she went. I kept silent, following her, as ordered by my elders to take care of her. Every girl envied her, having me, the wealthy first love, protect her quietly. But did I like her? Not really at first. In a family like mine, business marriages are unavoidable. Partner is a partner. That's how I saw it. But as time passed and my silent efforts grew, I did develop some feelings for her. I thought we'd spend our lives together. Our parents even fixed our engagement early. In college, Evelyn and I finally parted ways when she didn't score high enough to attend my school. After graduation, the year we were set to get engaged, Evelyn brought home a delinquent. "Evelyn, say that again." Leo sat at the head, his face livid. "I want to break off the engagement with Evan." Evelyn clutched the delinquent's hand fiercely. "No way." Leo slammed the table. "What nonsense are you spouting? Bringing some nobody home? Get him out," he said, pointing at the delinquent. "He's not some nobody. He's my boyfriend. I want to be with him. I don't want to be engaged to Evan." The delinquent eyed the mansion with greed nearly oozing from his eyes. "We fell in love naturally. Arranged marriages are outdated, so backward," he declared. Right after, he kissed Evelyn, holding her close. "You're right." Evelyn's voice was shrill, as she nestled into his embrace. I shuddered. Never heard her talk like this in all these years. Sophia looked like she was about to faint seeing those yellow teeth. Evelyn, stop it. Evan's right here. You know it's impossible. The engagement's in 3 days. Invites have been sent out. Canceling now? What about our families? I don't care. Evelyn screamed. I won't be your pawn. I want to choose my man. I could hold back no longer. Evelyn, is this your choice in men? What do you see in him over me? I asked, confused. Didn't I always treat her well? Evelyn flaunted, arm in arm with the bleached blonde. What do you know? She retorted. You're just rich. Without your parents, what can you do? Evan, always gifting branded stuff with no thoughtfulness. But Henry's different. He does things for me, makes me cucumber salad, washes my feet, and spends his last dime on candy for me. Even with my temper, I couldn't hold back. Standing, showing displeasure, I said if Evelyn wasn't keen, I'd tell my parents to call it off. We couldn't force her into it. Guess you know your place. Evelyn tossed her head proudly. Leo got flustered, quickly stopping me. Evelyn just got tricked, 'cause she's too innocent. You head back, we'll talk some sense into her. In 3 days, the engagement's still on. No way, getting engaged under these circumstances. That's a hard no for me. I mean, who wouldn't be pissed seeing their fiancé making out with some punk right in front of them? Pretty much like wearing a big green hat for all to see. If it wasn't for considering both families, anyone else would have thrown hands. Evan. Leo stood up, walked over, and whispered, give me a break here. We owe you big time. For that Southern project, we'll let you take it over. He's really putting it all on the line. That project could easily bring in tens of millions, and the south part of town is hot with government focus. Seizing the opportunity ain't easy. Our family is way ahead of theirs, but most of our assets are overseas. Sometimes, for local projects, we need their connections. That's why we considered this engagement mutual benefits. I was secretly thrilled. I've had my eye on that Southern project for a while. On the outside, though, I pretended to be conflicted. I still need to discuss this with my parents. I mean, having this drama before even getting engaged could really strain our family's relationships in the future. I understand. Leo awkwardly replied. I went home and laid out the whole story to my folks. It was so absurd I couldn't help but laugh as I spoke. Before my dad could respond, my mom shouted, no way. Absolutely not. I won't agree. A project for my son to wear a green hat? They wish. Do they think we lack money? We already had some leads on the Southern project. Why do we need them to give it up? My mom fumed like a powder keg igniting. I always said I didn't like Evelyn from the start, but your dad kept saying I was just being a nagging mother-in-law. That girl's always been rude. So loud. She's got no class. My dad tried to calm her. Don't get upset. Let's hear Evan's thoughts. Maybe he actually likes Evelyn? My mom slapped him. What do you mean? Are you saying my son's blind? My dad held his face in silent agony. Watching them, I felt a bit of my frustration lift. Dad, Mom. I knocked on the table, thinking it over. I've spent the most time with Evelyn, more than anyone. I know her best. There's no way this engagement's happening. But this is our chance. My parents' eyes widened, listening closely. Honestly, with how Evelyn's treated me, I just can't let this go. I'm gonna make them pay big time. I gave them a cold look. Since this was her choice, don't blame me for being ruthless. We don't have to engage. But withdrawing? That's not gonna come from our family. I laid out the plan, made sure they were on board. Look at our son, then look at yourself. My mom tugged at my dad's ear. You're 40 and not half as capable as your 20-year-old son. My dad winced but was proud. That's right, he's my son. I gave him all my smarts. I chuckled, knowing they were trying to cheer me up. Dad did wonders with the family business over the past 10 years. You can't say he lacks skills. 3 days later, the hotel ballroom. I shook Leo's hand, glancing at Evelyn beside him. Are you sure Evelyn's here willingly today? Leo chuckled awkwardly. Evelyn turned away, silent. Would she dare disagree? A flash of cruelty crossed Leo's face. She's only ever been good for this. Evan, when you pleaded for this girl 2 years ago, I knew you were loyal and righteous. I'll treat you like my own son from now on. Leo veered away from the topic. I just smiled. The room filled with notable figures, family representatives, all raising glasses in congratulations. I returned each with a nod and a smile. Even my best buddy Lucas came by, all gleeful to tease me. Can't believe you're tying the knot so young. The graveyard of marriage awaits. Shut up. It's just an engagement. Still means you're off the market. He clinked his glass with mine. While I'll be out partying, you're stuck. I clinked back. Not necessarily. The MC took the stage, said his blessings, and finally called for Evan and Miss Evelyn. Evelyn and I headed to the stage. Today, we have gathered all of you to witness this engagement ceremony. Everyone's extended their blessings. Do you two have something to say? Before I could grab the mic, Evelyn snatched it. I refused to engage with Evan. The room erupted in chaos, guests buzzing all about. Evelyn, what's coming out of your mouth? My parents stood furious. Leo turned, quickly bowing in apology. She's just joking around. She's got a flighty temper. I'm not joking. Evelyn shrieked. I stepped away a few steps. My parents forced me here. I don't love Evan. I love Henry. You all mundane fools. Materialists. You only see money and profits. You can't understand the pure love between Henry and me. In my mind, I applauded her. This firepower, she just roasted every high up. Now, it's pretty much curtains on any chance they had at the South Project. I thought it ended there, but Evelyn doubled down. And I'm pregnant with Henry's baby. At that moment, the big screen flashed a pregnancy test result with her name, Evelyn, plain as day. I came to tell you money grubbers that true love is priceless. With a crash, Sophia fainted on the spot. Chaos ensued. I turned to Evelyn. Look at that, you made your mom pass out. Evelyn didn't care. Serves her right for making me marry you. Hope you don't regret this. I told her meaningfully and, while she was distracted, took back the mic. Everyone stay calm. The ambulance is on the way. Sorry for the spectacle today. Evan apologizes to all of you, family, and elders. Given the situation, it's a shame we can't follow through with our engagement. I can only wish her happiness in the future. I've had enough of a spectacle today, and at times like these, I have to show our family's dignity. Sure enough, after I finished speaking without even changing my expression, the way people looked at me changed. Leo even gave me a grateful glance. They probably assumed that a guy my age, going through something like this, would lose his temper. They might have even understood if I had lashed out at Evelyn. But what good would that do? Just end up being a joke alongside them, or make people think I'm reckless. There's no point in letting it get to me. I smirked. Next up is seeing how they'll compensate for my emotional distress. I hope they show some sincerity. They gave us compensation on 5 projects. Leo's face twitched with pain at the offer. I pretended not to notice. Evelyn was kicked out. What she doesn't know is she should have been kicked out 2 years ago. I persuaded Leo and Sophia otherwise because of our long-standing relationship and engagement, asking them to hold off. 2 years ago, Leo and Sophia found out that Evelyn wasn't their biological daughter. She'd been swapped by Leo's secretary. Real life isn't like a novel. Pedigreed families care most about bloodline. Leo and Sophia only had 1 daughter. Even when we got engaged, there was an agreement we'd have 1 child for them. So even before finding their real daughter, they wanted Evelyn gone without hesitation. I told them to keep our engagement since our families still needed to cooperate. That way, even if they found their real daughter later, she could stay in the family and maybe marry someone who'd join their household. Their family is wealthy enough to support another daughter. So Evelyn was kept in the dark. If she knew, she might not have caused such a scene. Before, she thought she was the sole heir. No matter what, Leo and Sophia wouldn't abandon her. I called Lucas to hang out, and he cursed as soon as he saw me. Evan, thank goodness you didn't marry Evelyn. She's insane. You won't believe it. Yesterday, Richard publicly announced that Evelyn isn't his real daughter. Evelyn drove her car straight into their gate, scared the crap out of them. I sipped my drink, hiding my sarcastic amusement. Evelyn's really been spoiled. She was kept around so people wouldn't gossip, ensuring she'd never want for money. but now she's handed them a reason to cut ties. However, the pressing issue isn't Evelyn, but I just shouted. Lucas smiled slyly. You've always been that kid my dad compared me to. I got smacked countless times because of you. Keep shouting, and you're out of the next investment, I said blankly. No, I'm sorry. Lucas quickly apologized. My dad insists I hit a $30 million investment target every year, without losing. He knows I'm not cut out for this. Isn't having my brother enough? I looked at him play dumb. True heirs aren't naive like Evelyn. Lucas doesn't lack skills or drive. He's just not allowed to touch the family pie. He's 10 years younger than his brother David, who now has full support from the board. Lucas has no chance against David without risking a family feud. That's why their dad set goals for Lucas as an adult, to build his personal competence and wealth, just in case David leaves him with nothing. Lucas is shrewd, crafting a playboy image so David won't see him as a threat. Okay, stop pretending. I bet your dad doesn't even know how much you've earned. Thanks to you, Evan, Lucas grinned. I'm heading abroad soon to manage my family's foreign businesses. I downed my drink. I need you to keep me posted on domestic trends and those other houses' moves. I don't trust anyone else. Lucas nodded seriously, understood. Now back to the matter at hand. I called Leo. He was unwilling, so he sent Henry instead. Henry slapped Evelyn twice before she fearfully left with him. Before leaving, Henry shot me a warning look, telling me to stay away from his wife. Seriously, after Evelyn left, I called Lucas immediately. These past years abroad, I've had too much to deal with and never focused on Evelyn. What's up? What's Evelyn's status now? Evelyn? Lucas paused. Did she come to you? I frustratedly tugged at my tie. She wouldn't let go of my pants, saying we should give it another shot. Lucas burst out laughing. Evan, seriously? Shut up. All right. I'll send her info right over. Within minutes, I received details of Evelyn's recent years from Lucas. After Evelyn and I called off the engagement, she threw a fit, forcing her parents to disown her. Then she tied the knot with Henry. At first, Evelyn didn't mind, selling off her luxury goods to live comfortably with Henry. Swayed by sweet talk, she bought a small apartment and moved Henry's mom from the countryside to live with them. But Evelyn's extravagant nature persisted. Henry and his mom freely leached off her. None of them worked for nearly 6 months, and Evelyn sold everything she could. By that time, her pregnancy was pretty obvious. She had no choice but to ask her family for help. They had been searching all over for their daughter. When Evelyn found out, she said something she shouldn't have, suggesting her sister was probably dead, and that they might as well take her back since she could care for Leo and Sophia in their old age. That nearly sent heartbroken Sophia to the hospital again. So Evelyn didn't get a dime and was kicked out. Her good brother, Henry, changed his tune once he realized Evelyn was truly cut off. When Evelyn came home, Henry and their mom greeted her with smiles. But when she came back empty-handed, their faces turned cold. Completely clueless, Evelyn cried to Henry about their family's cruelty. But Henry pushed her away and went straight to his room. His mom made a snide comment, so you don't even have a family anymore, just a lonely orphan girl. After that, Henry's mom started making Evelyn do chores. But Evelyn wasn't about to do any housework with her princess attitude. She clashed with Henry's mom right away. When Henry got home and saw them arguing, he didn't ask questions, just slapped Evelyn twice. Who gave you the guts to talk back to my mom? You dare hit me? Evelyn was furious and wanted to slap Henry back. But she was pregnant and no match for him. He grabbed her arm and slapped her 2 more times. This is what you get. I thought I married some rich girl. Turns out you're a fake. You couldn't even bring home any money. What are you so proud of? My mom asked you to do chores as a favor, and you dare to disobey? I'll beat you to death. Evelyn ran away. How ironic. She looked down on us ordinary folks for love but suffered domestic violence when she couldn't bring back any money. She first went home, apologized to Leo and Sophia, hoping to come back. But she didn't even get past the door. They chased her away. She wore her big belly to find her old gal pals, hoping they'd take her in for a while. But Evelyn had always acted superior around them, calling them sisters while treating them like lackeys. So no one paid her any mind. The polite ones made up excuses. The rude ones mocked her to her face. Evelyn was so angry she almost went into labor early. One person pretended to pity her, listening to her sob story, then turned and exaggerated it as a joke to everyone. Evelyn was too embarrassed to seek help from anyone in their circle. I heard she tried to find me too, but I'd already moved abroad, so she was out of luck. Stranded for days, Evelyn had no choice but to return home. Of course, she was greeted with another beating. From then on, it was like her pride was shattered. Under Henry and his mom's abuse, she began to learn how to serve them. Often, she'd end up with black eyes, but she'd put on a brave face, pretending Henry treated her well in public. As her due date approached, Henry and his mother treated her slightly better. "Big belly like that must be a grandson," Henry's mom would say every day. But Evelyn's first baby was a girl. I don't need to read further to know what happens next. Since she didn't have a son, they treated her even worse, making her work before she even recovered. Evelyn tried to escape twice, but with no skills. She once landed a cashier job, but was dragged back by her hair after only a few days. She soon had a second child, another girl. Two daughters not only wore Evelyn out but also made Henry and his mom lose their patience completely. She even got her ribs broken by Henry once. I closed the file. This was Evelyn's so-called love? What a joke. "Are you home yet?" I asked. "Yeah, I'm home," came a gentle voice over the phone. "How do you feel?" I asked, concerned. "It's great. Don't worry." Feeling a bit reassured, I said, "Be sure to talk to your folks. I'll come over in a few days to discuss our wedding." "Okay, got it." I hung up, smiling. After 3 years, I'm finally about to walk into the grave of marriage. I thought I'd never see Evelyn again. But 3 days later at a party, Evelyn slipped in. Dressed like a middle-aged housewife, she stood out like a sore thumb. I was talking to Lucas about our next investment direction when we suddenly heard a server questioning someone. "May I see your invitation? You can't enter the banquet without one." Curious, we turned to see Evelyn surrounded by servers trying to escort her out. She was yelling, "I'm here to see Evan." All eyes turned to me. Evelyn also saw me and tried to rush over. Evan, I've come to see you." The servers held her back, looking to me for direction. I nodded reluctantly, and they let her through. Evelyn dashed over, almost hugging me. I quickly stepped aside. "What do you want this time?" I wondered why she kept trying to reach me. "Quit faking it, Evan," she said. "I knew you couldn't forget me and still love me. It was just wrong of you to ignore me for so long. But if you apologize, I might forgive you." She brushed her hair back. "I'll give up on those 2 useless daughters, but the one in my belly should be a son. You have to raise him like your own, and I'm done having babies after this one. Don't expect me to give you any more kids. After we're married, you need to give me all your shares to make up for it." Finally, she gritted her teeth and said, "You have to help me kill Henry and his mother, or I'm not marrying you." She went off on her rant, and I couldn't get a word in edgewise. After she finished, I finally spoke up, speechless. "Evelyn, what makes you think I would still marry you? Don't you see how you're acting right now? You've already had 2 kids, and you've got another one on the way. What am I, Evan? Some fool to wear a green hat or take the fall for you? Would I really need to go childless because of you? Why? Did Henry eat your brain or something?" I tried to be tactful with my words, but she just wouldn't let go. "Stop pretending, Evan." Her voice was sharp and laced with fear. "I heard it all. You're planning a marriage. Violet told me." Violet, the same so-called friend who tricked her before. "Exactly. Evan is going to marry my daughter." Leo's sudden voice made everyone turn. He came down slowly with Sophia on one side and a young woman on the other. The girl had a graceful figure and a face like a painting, a simple designer dress making her look particularly classy. "Evan is going to marry my biological daughter, Judy." Evelyn looked at the 3 of them in disbelief, watching her former parents cradle another girl tenderly. Judy slowly walked over to my side and took my arm. I turned to Evelyn and asked, Do you understand now? No way. No way. I am your daughter. Evelyn suddenly broke down, shouting, Dad, Mom, I'm your daughter. We lived together for so many years. Leo sneered. If your real dad hadn't swapped you with Judy, would we have spent years away from our own daughter? And you still have the nerve to show up here. Evelyn went berserk and even tried to attack Judy. I frowned, deciding not to care about her pregnancy, and pushed her away. Evelyn stumbled but didn't fall, and I let out a sigh of relief. Security quickly restrained her as she looked at me in despair. Evan, can't you remember how close we used to be? Can't you save me? Pretend to marry me, at least. I really can't go on. She screamed at me, but my heart didn't waver. Evelyn, ever since we were kids, I've helped you more than you know. Evan, can say with a clear conscience, I've done everything for you. You were the one who decided to break your engagement without thinking of the devastation you'd cause me. You were reckless, ignoring all our advice. Now you're paying for your choices. My tone stayed calm, not a smidge of emotion. Evelyn finally faced the truth. Evan, you never loved me, did you? Right? I replied without hesitation. As security took Evelyn away, everyone had gotten their fill of drama, and the party had to go on. Leo stood proudly and informed everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, this event is to announce that I finally found my daughter again. Judy, let's formally meet everyone today. Judy gave a slight bow. Hello, everyone. I'm Judy. I'm thrilled to be reunited with my parents, and thank you all for witnessing it. I just got back, so I still have much to learn. I hope you all will be patient with me. Applause erupted. Lucas leaned over to comment, she doesn't look lost at all. Does she? She's a legit heiress compared to Evelyn. How'd you score her? Evan? I gave Lucas a smug look. I'd met Judy at my company abroad. She was a PhD from a top university overseas, newly headhunted for the CEO position. She seemed familiar the moment I saw her, but I didn't dwell on it. Working together, I grew captivated by her extraordinary personal abilities and her bold yet careful approach. It was only after we became a couple that I learned she was an orphan, abandoned in front of a shelter as a child, later adopted by a single woman. Her adoptive mom was also an independent woman. She raised Judy until she was grown, then took her traveling, still enjoying it somewhere. Noticing Judy's resemblance to Sophia, I had a hunch, so I got Lucas to discreetly acquire DNA samples from Leo and Sophia for me. Back then, Lucas thought I wanted to curse someone, warning me that such a low blow would shorten my life. Once we confirmed Judy was indeed Leo and Sophia's daughter, I didn't rush to reveal it. I spent over a year building a relationship with Judy before bringing her home this time around. Can't have a little secret agenda, right? As I watched Judy on stage, I thought, she's the top executive in our group, then my sweet girlfriend, and finally Leo's daughter. The order of things matters for the harmony of our marriage. My girlfriend is stunning, and Evelyn's gone mad. She killed Henry. It happened because her third child turned out to be a girl. Henry decided he'd make her go work the streets because of it. A worthless woman who can't give me a son. What else can you do except sell yourself? I doubt anyone would even want you, given how worn out you must be after 3 useless daughters. That night, Evelyn grabbed a knife and chopped Henry to bits. The next day, Henry's mom opened the door to find Evelyn sitting in a pool of blood, smiling up at her. Henry's mom screamed, and Evelyn came for her too. Lucky for her, Henry's mom didn't faint and managed to escape. When the police got Evelyn, they'd realized she'd completely lost her mind. She wouldn't speak, just kept on smiling creepily. They even called me, Leo, and Sophia over to try to get something out of her. Still, no luck. She didn't recognize anyone anymore. After having 3 kids and suffering abuse and beatings, she was on the edge of a breakdown. The police didn't dare put her in jail. In the end, Leo and Sophia funded her care at the best mental hospital. Once he calmed down, Leo felt a hint of regret. I wonder if I was too cruel, Leo sighed. Evelyn's 3 daughters were cast out by Henry's mom and ended up in an orphanage. The oldest wasn't even 3 yet. Those kids were the real victims. After discussing with Judy, We decided to anonymously support the orphanage, focusing on Evelyn's girls to make sure they were well fed and clothed. A year and a half later, Judy and I got married. We also had a daughter, but my parents snatched her up soon after she was born, never letting go. They even took over the nanny responsibilities, refusing to let her go. Leo and Sophia were content after all that happened, focusing on making it up to Judy. Judy asked if we wanted another kid, and after thinking about it, I said no. Having kids is too hard on you. I touched her stomach, still scarred from childbirth, feeling the empathy rise. I'm already the luckiest mom, Judy replied. You've provided the best pre- and postnatal care. Most mothers endure way more pain than I have. Thinking seriously, I wondered aloud, do you think we could do a project for integrated pre- and postnatal care for women? To offer scientifically safe services. Judy playfully tapped my head and chuckled. All you think about is investments and projects, business later. If we really stop having kids, what about your legacy? I looked at her puzzled. What about our daughter? Judy laughed so hard. She couldn't stop.